What's up, guys? Duncan the Highlander here. And if you don't know who this is Mother effing Garry Tonon. And what I've got for you guys, it's my first time doing a little editing video like this. Garry Tonon made his MMA debut over the weekend. So I wanted to show you guys first why we care. Garry Tonon, he is a BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu phenom, and one of the Danaher Death Squad members, known for really innovating the leg lock game. So you're going to see him first go against Imanari, who is the man that you hear the term the Imanari roll, which is a roll that Ryan Hall, Tony Ferguson, a lot of people use when they're standing. I think Roy McDonald tried it a couple times as well. So it's like a standing roll that you go for a knee bar, and he's the man who created it in term, or the man in which the move is coined after. And so he's like a leg lock expert. Garry Tonon took him out. And then there's then after that, he goes with Hustamaris Palhares, who is considered one of the greatest leg lock practitioners and probably the most prominent leg lock practitioner in MMA. And he is significantly larger than Garry Tonon. And even with that, Garry Tonon, they ended up going to a draw. But in my personal opinion, I feel like Garry Tonon most definitely won the match. But so here you just see him with Imanari, like I said, the man in which the term the Imanari roll is coined. And Garry Tonon just takes him right out. Now Palhares. Palhares is world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and like I said, he is really the person to bring leg locks into the foray of the UFC. He got eliminated from the UFC, not because he lost, but because he kept breaking people's legs, even though the ref would get in there. He was just too vicious. And you see him, he's just significantly larger than Garry Tonon, and Gary's the one sweeping him, putting back, getting his hooks in so that he can take the back, constantly attacking. It's Hustamaris Palhares who keeps having to give up on the positions to go to the next thing. It's just interesting, and Garry Tonon's significantly smaller than him. So, next, this brings us to his MMA debut. Now, if we look at some other MMA fighters, Andre Galvao, other people, or other BJJ practitioners who switched over to MMA, there's mixed results. One of the things that can happen is the Verdum result, though, in which he's very confident with just letting his hands go, because he knows if it goes to the ground, that's where he wants it to be anyway. In his interview with on MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, he said that he's been training for some time. So one thing I wanted to show here that I really like was that, number one, in the first 10 seconds, you see him switching stance. And in the first 30 seconds, he switches stance over 10 times. I like that he's using his leg, pulling his legs back quite a bit so that he avoids a lot of the counters. And you see, that this is the one thing I really didn't like, was that he's a little high, and when he throws these kicks here, he's throwing them in a way that his hips are kind of at the end. This is where he'd probably be better off throwing some sort of spinning hook kick, or countering with a roundhouse kick in the opposite direction. So you see, when he throws this right hand, he's a little high, but this is something that's adjusted later on in the fight, that's for sure. And you could see as he throws these kicks, his balance is a little off, because he probably should be kicking to the opposite side because of the way that his opponent's moving. So his hips were kind of lined up at the end of the kick, and that's why he had no power on them. But I like that he's really able to pull that back leg to avoid kicks. I love that. That's something very Darren Till-esque. I think that's even better than checking kicks, is to just pull that foot back and not even get kicked in the first place. Something I really enjoyed is at the end of his kicks, he lands down and switches his stance right with them. Now look at this little check hook. This check hook I feel probably could have done more damage if his arm wasn't straight when it made impact, but the timing of it was nice. Beautiful timing. Once again, avoiding the leg kick. Now that right hand I'm going to show a second time, because this right hand is very similar to the right hand that ends the fight. Nice and tight. Now with this one he steps through, and the right hand, that doesn't end the fight, but that drops him. He doesn't step through, but he's nice and tight with it. Here you see that I'm going to show that one more time. This little bump he does, very, very dominant cruise, TJ Dillashaw-esque. Now, it's not just the fact that they're changing stance. That right there, that's called a bump. That's something that you see TJ Dillashaw do all the time, something you see Dominic Cruz do. This is one of my favorite things he does when he goes into southpaw. From southpaw, he doesn't have too much offense that he showed, but in this fight, this is probably his best combination that he landed from the southpaw stance.
I like how after that uppercut, he rotates off to get his angle. Now watch how he's going to throw some kicks, and after this kick, his opponent's going to bear down to try to throw a right hand, and that's when he's going to counter with his takedown. As a BJJ practitioner, you would have expected him to be hunting for this way earlier, but he really doesn't. This is one of my favorite takedowns that he shoots in the fight. Gets it right after he throws the kick. The guy tries to counter back, and he comes right under. Now here, I'm going to snip to a knockdown that he gets later in the fight. So they come up. Now this is very similar to that right hand that I showed. Look how it's nice and tight, and look at that hip rotation. Boom. Let's see that one more time. They get up. As he's getting up, he's going to hit him. Nice, tight hip rotation, follow through. Now this is basically the highlight of the fight. After this, in the next round, he ends up finishing him with some ground and pound. This is my first time doing these type of videos, guys. If you guys like this, please let me know. Leave a comment down below. And please get at my Patreon, get at my GoFundMe, or go to northsportmushroom.com. Thanks, guys.